your item.
Yes, it is. Madam Chairman and the board, as you know, probably the first week I was on the job, I started hearing about tennis courts. And from that point on, I made a visit to Skyline with some other individuals and noticed that that had been closed and that they were in disrepair. At the same time, I thought there needed to be a fix, if not a permanent fix, but we couldn't move forward with any sort of recommendation until we had a geotechnical report done. So you have that report tonight as part of your board packet. And in that report, this particular firm did borings at each of the high schools. Those locations are noted in the report. And probably what you already know is several things. One is there's poor drainage, which has compromised the courts in several places. The other is there was not the level of compaction under the courts that is required to handle the courts, and there wasn't the level of compaction for the asphalt used for the surfacing of the courts. So knowing all of that, and in the report there are several options for the board to consider. So that brings me to August when I appeared before the Board of Supervisors. And at that time, there were two items that I talked with them about. One, as you know, was replacing the carpet in our kindergarten and preschool classrooms with tile, and the other was tennis courts. They appropriated $240,000. $100,000 of that went to tile, and the 140 was so designated as a start on the tennis courts. So here we are tonight. I am recommending, as the acting school superintendent, two things. One is that you ask the Board of Supervisors for the appropriation of $140,000 to negotiate a short-term or a repair on the courts so the tennis teams can begin their practicing in February. I understand that's when they're going to start practicing. And I also understand today there are many tennis players who are renting spaces to get ahead of the season because they're true athletes. So they're starting to do this, but there's no place to play around here. I realize that this is a short-term fix, and we may have other needs in the school system. But at the same time, I'd like to also suggest that during our process of developing the budget for next year, in the capital improvements plan, there has to be an item of what we're going to do with the tennis courts. I don't know that we can debate that tonight, but certainly my recommendation would be, I think they all have to be dug up, and I think we have to start over. We have to put in proper drainage, and we just can't keep repairing courts over and over again. I realize that $140,000 is an investment, and it's a short-term investment for these kids to play. But I also realize if we don't do that, it could compromise the program. We might be looking at certainly taking kids to other high schools that also have tennis teams and sharing space and renting space and travel time and transportation. And I'm not sure that would be fair for kids. So my recommendation is that you seek the appropriation from the Board of Supervisors for a tennis court repair, and know that we will be talking about this more in the upcoming capital improvements plan.
Didn't we receive an estimate for the repairs during one of the facilities?
I'm sorry?
Didn't we receive an estimate for the repairs during one of the facilities?
Initially, it was right around $140,000 because that's what we had an estimate probably back in August. Just let me say this. there are many ways, many things I've heard of how we can repair these, including a concrete overlay. And I think we need more time to look at all the options for a permanent fix. This is just a temporary, I don't want to say Band-Aid because that has a negative connotation.
But we knew last time they were repaired, it was
Correct.
like a 6-month fix. So it is appropriate to say Band-Aid.
So the options 1 and 2 that are contained within the borings report, those would be permanent, the permanent fixes, and not the temporary. Correct.
Correct.
So one of the things that I wanted to note, because I know we've talked in the facilities committee many times about the different options that are available and how expensive they would be. But option 2, the full depth reclamation process, I've had the opportunity to speak to 2 different experts in the field who have used this as a redo of the courts and had great success with it and have said that it's significantly less expensive than some of the things we were looking at. Obviously, we'd have to look and get quotes. So we're not there yet. But I'm hoping that if we can, I'm very grateful that we've had the opportunity to receive this extra money from the Board of Supervisors so we can do the repair so that we don't have to disrupt the tennis season this year. But as we are going through this process, I'm hoping that we are going to be able to work with and negotiate with Shockey in hopes that because this investigative forings have found that they were not installed properly, I think the right thing to do as a reputable contractor, as Shockey is, would be for them to assist in some way, and I hope we could have those conversations. I did speak with our delegate, Bill Wiley, today, and he also works for Shockey, and I requested that he advocate for Warren County Public Schools, and he agreed that he would be willing to advocate for us. Obviously, those conversations still have to be had, but doing a repair now would certainly buy us time. So those are my thoughts on this situation.
Well, I can say to you, I've reached out to Shockey and we will be scheduling a meeting in the near future.
Wonderful.
So for the 140,000, what would it would just fill in the cracks?
We're filling in the cracks.
So
We're going to make the surfaces playable.
okay.
Can you walk me through what we anticipate the timeline to be approximately? Like, let's say we approve this tonight. What happens then?
Wow.
Approximately.
That's a wow. So I don't know because I haven't talked to the contractor. The other thing that I think I've got to check on this, because these schools were built with the PPEA process, it may allow us to do what's called like an emergency quote rather than going through an extensive quoting process. So we have to do that. And so I don't want to promise anything, but my thought is this is approved tonight prior to the actual appropriations. We will start tomorrow in getting quotes or whatever we have to do. The individual in the county who is very familiar with procurement, we have her on kind of standby to help us walk through this whole process so we do it correctly.
Okay. And then are we anticipating that these repairs are likely to happen before February?
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Dr. Martin? Is there a motion?
I move that the school board seek an appropriation from the Board of Supervisors to repair the tennis courts at Warren County High School and Skyline High School.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.